If the three primary tissues are taken care of, your secondary tissue is taken care of by default. If someone comes to me with a hair fall, I'm going to look what's happening deeper inside the body rather than just looking at the scalp. This is the central command of your body, your thyroid, your gut, your heart, your lungs. This is all here. Your scalp is literally at the other end of the body. It is not your body's priority. It's a luxury tissue. It's not a survival tissue. Your survival is you being able to process your food and your emotions every day, and that is what is going to allow you to survive. Progesterone is our calming hormone. The ratio of progesterone to estrogen is so critical in terms of hair health. So I don't know how will a good scalp health override this. This is the foundation. What is happening in your cellular health is the most important thing. Women today are losing progesterone 500 times faster than estrogen, and that's why most women are estrogen dominant by default. We are in a constant state of go, go, go. You really think your body is going to prioritize your hair growth? They tried. I have so many hair transplant relapse cases. Why? Because eventually, even transplant cases, your hair starts thinning out because what you're doing is you're just doing a structural fix on a metabolic faulty line. Regulating your nervous system is having a hormone harmony in your body is the ultimate solution. Your scalp needs extra epigenetic stimulation to tell your hair follicles to wake the F up.
What's your thoughts on that? Should I wash my hair more than once? Every day? Well, I suppose every day, or
well, every day, every other day. But as I say, it's in
what's
general.
your thoughts on that?
So I have a very different take on the concept of scalp is everything. I look at scalp as a secondary tissue. In Ayurveda, hair is called as kesha. It's an upadhatu. It's a secondary tissue. That in itself speaks volume. My scalp is a messenger. It is a signal. It is not the cause. It is not what is causing the hair fall, the hair thinning, the premature hair graying, the hair loss, the hair fall. In Ayurveda, very specifically, if the three primary tissues are taken care of, your secondary tissue is taken care of by default. The three primary tissues which govern the secondary tissue is Rasa Dhatu, Rakta Dhatu, and Asti Dhatu. Rasa Dhatu is all about hydration, your fluidity. You know, when you look at a child when they're growing up, they're so agile, they're so active, they're moving around. That's because they have a lot of fluidity in them, right? Rasa means that. And if you do not have enough hydration in your body, it is going to reflect in your scalp eventually. That is going to make your hair deplete in terms of its luster, its shine, from within, of course. The topical aspects comes much later, but if someone comes to me with a hair fall, I'm going to look what's happening deeper inside the body rather than just looking at the scalp. And of course, looking at the scalp I'm not dismissing that completely, but for me, the first line of protocol and action is to look what's happening within these primary tissues. So we discussed the Rasa Dhatu. Rakta Dhatu is your blood. What is the blood flow in your body looking like? How are your other organs functioning? Where is your thyroid? Is it downregulated? Because if it is downregulated, you are not converting T4 to T3, which is the active form of thyroid. Thyroid is not just responsible for the metabolism of your body, what you're eating, what you're thinking, because, we also got to process our emotions. It is also responsible to kind of maintain your follicular health. Your hair is a dead tissue. It's the follicle which is the living entity. So it's obviously growing from the system, right? So that's the Rakta Dhatu. So if your blood flow is compromised to any organ of your body, and I'm talking to the absolute non-negotiables, your gut, because you eat, you need to digest that food, so blood has to come here. This is the central command of your body, your thyroid, your gut, your heart, your lungs. This is all here. Your scalp is literally at the other end of the body. It is not your body's priority. I would say it's a luxury tissue. It's not a survival tissue. Your survival is you being able to process your food and your emotions every day, and that is what is going to allow you to survive. The third primary tissue is Asti Dhatu, which is your structure of your body, which is your bone strength, your teeth, the roots of your hair follicles. So if this is not nourished very well, it will show on your scalp in the form of premature hair graying. It will show in the form of excessive hair shedding and hair loss. So for me, how I look at scalp is just my signaling mechanism. It is not what is where the problem is happening. The problem is happening deep inside the body. And this is my take on this. Healthy hair does not grow on scalp. It is built in the blood, it is built in your digestion, and it is built in your nervous system.
The scalp is no different. It's not an extension of the body. It's a part of the body. It's a living organism.
I mean, I'm not dismissing. I will look at the scalp, but I will look at the primary tissues first. I will definitely look at the scalp. But for me, what's happening within the body is of utmost importance than just giving topical solutions. For me, it's a more systemic approach because, my niche is women, and that's also because men are still very socially accepted bald. We still haven't come to a point where a woman walking into a boardroom can lead a team, You look at the number of transplant cases that happen worldwide. It's more men.
Why do people have transplants? Transplants is the biggest cosmetic surgery today for men and women.
It is, but mostly men.
When we talk about the contraceptive pill here for a second, I don't know if any of you guys have any research on this to show to show how that's affected any sort of hair loss, or has it had any effect on females in particular?
OCPs are widely prescribed to young girls today, right? And if you look at a young person's brain scan, their prefrontal cortex is not even developed. The limbic system is still developing, and you're giving them OCPs, it's directly going and hindering the myelination of the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible to make logical, rational decisions in your adult life. And you're literally blocking that system of a person. Why? OCP is just one part of the thing. Birth control pills, when you're given to a perimenopausal woman, when she's in her mid to late 30s, she's already having a wild and a chaotic ride with her hormones. You are interfering with her ovulation further, which means if she does not have an ovulation, she's not secreting progesterone. Progesterone is our calming hormone. The ratio of progesterone to estrogen is so critical in terms of hair health. So I don't know how will a good scalp health override this. This is the foundation. What is happening in your cellular health is the most important thing. Women today are losing progesterone 500 times faster than estrogen, and that's why most women are estrogen dominant by default. They're not estrogen dominant because, your ovaries are making more estrogen. That's because we're losing more progesterone, because our coping mechanisms to the amount of stress, like the urban woman, I think we all can successfully agree, like urban people are chronically stressed, and that physiological load on a woman is much stronger, not because women are weaker. That's because the female biology is cyclical. It is not, as I discussed earlier, it is not so stable like that of a man who's on a 24-hour testosterone cycle. And having said that, that does not mean that women are weak by any way. It's just that the modern day woman who is on a constant state of output, she's in leadership positions, she's managing home with kids. So that means there's a lot of emotional labor, mental load, physical labor. Women are not just working hard, they're also working out harder, which is then putting them on a physiological load of not allowing to be in sync with their cycles. How many women, I get so many women on a discovery call every day. No woman knows what phase of her cycle she's on. No, that's right. And if you do not know what phase of cycle you are on, how are you going to plan your nutrition, your workouts, how you want to show up at work, how you want to plan your business? Because for a woman, her cycle is her most vital power, because when she kind of aligns with this infradian rhythm of her biology, because we don't just work on a circadian rhythm like a man, we have an infradian rhythm. We also have postmenopausal, as I discussed. Women is constantly changing. We are not the same person every day, and you will agree with that. We are a different person every week. So if we are not able to have this basic foundation in place, you really think my body is going to prioritize hair growth?
Well, a woman's body is different, isn't it? A woman's body's got a different role in society today than it did years and years ago.
But even men go through andropause. There is no denying the fact. I'm not dismissing that a man does not undergo burnout.
I feel like you've just opened a bit of a can of worms here, because I know so many people using weight loss injections right now, right?
One of the major symptoms is hair loss.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is the upside after this? When someone does lose a lot of weight, right, they're using weight loss injections, how can we try measure out the balance of hair loss alongside this? Is it peptide treatment? Is it products? Is it better nutrition? What is it? What's your thoughts on that?
Of course, I agree with Doctor on that point. Finally, we do agree on something. I feel like metabolic health regulation is the key, because no person, and this applies to universally everyone, not just women, you cannot control your hormones if you can't control your blood sugar, period. If I do not have a well-controlled HbA1c, there is no way my sex hormone binding globulin is going to be maintained at an optimum level. And by the way, SHBG is a very potent factor why DHT increases in our bloodstream. DHT directly goes and competes with our hair follicles. And now more and more women have excess of DHT, not because they are more androgenetic. Androgens have been driven because of the HbA1c excess. No one is telling people when they are 5.3, 5.4, listen, you got to look at what you are consuming through the day. How are you responding to stress? What time are you going to bed? Do you have any sort of a self-care, self-love ritual? Because let's face it, most of us are choosing to stay single, and most of us are unmarried, so we don't get touched enough. How many times do you actually sit in peace, exhale, right? Exhalation is the key, because when we exhale, we step into our parasympathetic. When you kind of activate your marma points on your scalp, you're literally touching your marma points, which is where your nerves, muscles, joints, ligaments, they all come and intersect. Maneuvering these marma points is going to allow the energy, the prana, to flow. And as Mark also mentioned, it's at the other end of your body. Your scalp needs extra epigenetic stimulation to tell your hair follicles to wake the F up, because most of the times we are dormant. We are so in our bodies. We are either running from one meeting to the other. We are trying to get our deadline set. We are in a constant state of go, go, go. You really think your body is going to prioritize your hair growth? No. And that's why so many men walk bald, because they have given up. They tried. I have so many hair transplant relapse cases. Why? Because eventually, even transplant cases, your hair starts thinning out, because what you're doing is you're just doing a structural fix on a metabolic faulty line. Hair transplant is not the ultimate fix. Regulating your nervous system is, having a hormone harmony in your body is the ultimate solution.
When should hair transplants be the go-to for men, or should they ever? So what's your thoughts on hair transplants?
I would say if the internal terrain is not fixed, the hair transplant is going to barely last on your scalp. As Mark rightly said, like 6 months of pre-treatment is pivotal, and I think that's when I would say a transplant therapy or a surgery is more ethically done. If you have really looked at the internal terrain of the client, where are the inflammatory markers? Where is the insulin at? What is the ferritin level? What is the where are they in terms of their androgen levels? Because all these factors are going to eventually determine how the body, because if it has been even relocated from the backside of your scalp to the frontal aspect, you are still implanting and relocating that hair follicle to a hostile biology, right? If that hair follicle, where it has been relocated to, does not have enough blood supply, eventually that hair is going to fall off. If you have done the pre-treatment of making sure that this hair follicle is going to get received in the most, I would say, in the most wholesome way, we go ahead with the hair transplant. I keep myself away from interventions whenever there is any sort of an invasive procedure involved. I don't really get involved, but yes, I feel like everyone has the right to look beautiful, to look their best, to feel confident. And if hair transplant is the only resort, please go for it, but do it very, very intentionally. Be very mindful of how you're going to live your life after that. I have seen a woman have 3 hair transplant relapse cases. It smashed her confidence. It played with her emotional health deeply. So if you're going back to sleeping late, not having a hair care routine, not oiling your scalp, not oiling your hair before hair wash, you are going to eventually damage it subsequently, and it is going to come off. You might require another hair transplant, or it is going to just dim your light, because hair is a very sensitive topic, especially for women. It probably is for men as well.
What are some things that people are doing right now that is contributing to their poor hair to date right now? What are some of the things that people are doing on a daily basis that you would say you need to pay attention to that?
I mean, definitely how they are responding to stress. I think that's number one. That's the gold standard. Like, women are in a go-go today. If they don't really know how to downregulate that nervous system, cortisol is going to take over. Right? Cortisol and the anagen phase of hair growth, which is the active growth phase of hair growth, they're not the best friends. So if I'm constantly stressed, no product, no amount of topicals is going to override that nervous system, which is in survival. So the number one thing is effectively know how to respond to the stresses in your life. Have better tools. As I said, like, women don't need to do less things. We need to do things differently. And this applies to men as well. They also have burnouts. They also have hormonal shifts. They undergo andropause. But again, with them in their 24-hour testosterone cycle, their coping mechanisms are better. For women, they need to know how to really understand their body, what is it trying to tell them, and based on that need to regulate their lifestyles. They need to obviously work out when they are not in their active menstruation phase or in their luteal phase, because that is going to get perceived as stress, which is going to eventually affect your hair fall. The second thing which I see a lot of women doing is like these tight hairstyles, pulling their hair, causing traction alopecia is one of the most common alopecias I've seen in the last 1 year, where women love these tight hairstyles, tight ponytails. And look at this. We are living in a very tight system already. We have tight schedules, we wear tight clothes, and then we have tight hairstyles. What is this causing? It's causing tension on our scalp. This pulling effect is making the hair follicle get a signal that I'm actually not needed here, eventually causing hair follicle miniaturization. And that's why hairline thinning, temple recession is so common in women. So I would say, like, know how to kind of regulate your response to stress and have better, like, just leave your hair open. It looks beautiful, right? Just leaving your hair down, like, have a better hair care routine, and also effectively know how are you managing internally to the outside responses.
Made a point there that I'll disagree with you on about how men respond to stress in a sense, because I think men are not, they're just in balance with females, yeah, because they suppress. They suppress. I think females have a great way of expressing themselves.
Yeah.
They talk. What's your thoughts on using a hairdryer on your hair?
Oh, I love it. I think when you blow dry your hair at a distance and at a regulated temperature, it actually allows your hair to get drier faster, because see, a wet scalp is a breeding ground for fungus, right? And your hair is the weakest when it is wet. Just yesterday, I had a discovery call with a client, and she was wearing an abaya. She was based out of Qatar, and I'm like, okay, can you just take off your veil so I can see your hair? Her hair was in a bun, and it was wet. I told her, this is the number one thing you're doing. If you are wearing an abaya, you really need to make sure your hair is 100% dry. If you're allowing it to not even dry out and you're wearing something on top of it, you are creating an impeccable environment for your fungus to breed, grow, and then eventually cause fungal infection, which is eventually going to lead to hair fall and hair thinning. So yeah, I am a big advocate for blow drying your hair as soon as you're out of shower. Like, I do believe in the concept of preparing your hair before you go for shower by oiling it, because water inherently dries out. It dries out our skin, it dries out our hair, it dries out our scalp. So for me, protecting your hair before every hair wash, not just the hair, but by the way, even Abhyanga in Ayurveda is very famous for the same reason, because oiling has this powerful ability. As we age, our microbiome changes, right? Our gut microbiome changes. And that's why when women are in their mid-30s to 40s, we advise them not to eat too much fat, because the mucosal lining is also drying out. Everything is drying out. That's why we also see joint pain in people. Drying out of hair is a very common thing that I see if you don't protect it before washing it very well. So Abhyanga is a process where we kind of oil our body, and it's also a very, it's very good for your nervous system. It really calms your nervous system, because you get those 5 minutes with yourself where you're touching oxytocin. We need those neurotransmitters and hormones to really feel safe in the body, because if we feel safe, if our nervous system feels safe, it automatically goes into the parasympathetic, right? When we exhale longer, you're literally telling your body to go in that state of rest, digest, relax. Because when I am rested, I am well relaxed, my hair follicles also get a signal that, oh, I'm actually, safe enough to get the nutrition now, and I can actually thrive in that environment. So preparing before you wash and go into the shower is critical. When you come out of a shower, a little hair serum or oil at the ends of the hair, because the end of your hair is the oldest part of our hair. Right? When you see women with long hair, you see like they have good head of hair on the roots, and as you look down, the tips are frailing away. They are very dry. They're very brittle. It's because split ends, they kind of make your hair go in two directions, and the ends don't grow in a healthy way. So we want to make sure our ends are protected after that hair wash. And blow drying, I would say, go for it, because we want to make sure that the scalp and hair is dry.
So since we've talked all about hair, I want to ask one final question about you guys. So I have this tradition on the podcast where I ask each guest, what would they detach themselves away from that's limiting them today? It can be something very personal. It can be your ego. It can be your
For me, it's been my
habit.
hair. It's been my hair. My hair was twice the length. I really had to detach myself from the idea of being able to only if I am here to teach people how to have their most beautiful hair, I need to have really long hair. And I had to let go of that attachment. I'm like, you know what? Shorter hair can also be very, very healthy. And I can still spread the message of, to be able to have a healthy hair, it actually starts from within, not on the scalp.
What would you detach yourself away from, though? Because I know you know what good products are.
I suppose in general getting more sleep.
Well, if you want more hair, you want to sleep more.
Being more relaxed.
Yeah.
In the lifestyle a little bit, slowing down a bit. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah. I think we kind of under-evaluate how important a good deep sleep is, because that's where we repair. That's where we refuel. We kind of revitalize our growth hormones, regenerate. So I think sleep is a very, very undervalued asset.
Thank you guys for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
I hope you get a smashing episode with this.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Thanks for having me.